Hey friends, it's Len from 1A Auto. In this video, I want to go over some of the top problems that we've come to find on this first generation Honda CR-V. The first problem I want to talk about is considered a recall, which means when you're dealing with this, you want to make sure that you bring it down to the dealer. The recall on this vehicle comes down to the airbag. It's a Takata airbag, and they have a bad inflator on the frontal driver's side airbag assembly itself. This isn't something that you want to deal with on your own. Never try to fix anything that has to do with your airbags unless you're professionally trained. Just go ahead and get it down to the dealer. They're going to make sure they take care of it for you. If you want to, you can try calling them first with your VIN number, and they'll double check to see if it's already been fixed. Before we move on to the next problem, if you happen to need any parts for your vehicle, make your way to 1aauto.com. You can order the parts shipped fast and free. Now let's move along to our next problem. This one's going to come down to internal engine valves. Now on your vehicle, you're going to have a whole bunch of valves located underneath your valve cover. You're going to have intake valves that draw air in, and you're going to have exhaust valves, which open and allow exhaust to make its way out and down to the tailpipe. When you're driving around, you might happen to find that you don't have as much power coming from the engine. Other symptoms you might happen to find might be a check engine light that comes on your dash. You go ahead and pull the code, and it's going to tell you got some sort of misfire. Other than that, gas mileage. It just doesn't seem like you can go as far in between fill-ups. So now let's talk about fixes for this. Generally, this is something that you can do by yourself in the driveway. You're going to need some basic tools and a feeler gauge. Aside from that, it's a good idea to make sure you have a valve cover gasket. Have a look at the valves, and then adjust them per manufacturer procedure and specifications. Let's move along to our third problem. This one comes down to your ignition coil. That's going to be located on the passenger side of your engine, just behind your distributor cap. Now the job of the ignition coil is to create energy. That energy is going to get shipped right to that distributor cap. The distributor cap is going to figure out which one of those spark plug wires is going to get energy to get shipped all the way down to your spark plug. That spark plug is going to take the energy getting sent to it and create a spark that'll get sent down into your combustion chamber. Now how does your ignition coil go bad? Well, all electronic components go bad over time, especially with the heat cycles of the engine. You run it for a while, it gets hot. Park it for a while, it gets cold. And with those heat cycles, the plastic itself can dry out and crack over time. When that happens, it's possible for moisture to make its way in, and that's going to cause an issue. So some of the symptoms that you might happen to find if you are having an issue with the ignition coil might be a no-start condition. You hop inside the vehicle, you go to start it up just like you always do. It cranks over because the starter's doing its job, but you don't have any spark getting sent down to the spark plugs themselves. You might also find that you have a check engine light. You go ahead and pull the code, and it tells you that you have a cylinder misfire. Let's talk about a common fix for this. Typically, you'd want to make sure that you check the rest of your tune-up. You're going to have spark plugs, spark plug wires, and you have that distributor/distributor cap area you want to pay attention to as well. If any of these parts look like they're worn or damaged in any way, go ahead and order them from 1aauto.com. Now we're going to talk about your IAC valve. IAC stands for idle air control valve. What does it do? Well, essentially, while the vehicle is sitting still and idling, it's controlling the amount of air that's able to bypass the throttle body. If you were to look along the air intake system right next to the throttle body on the backside there, that's where you're going to find the idle air control valve. If you have carbon buildup on your IAC valve, you're going to find that the valve either doesn't open or close properly. Now, when this happens, you could potentially get several different symptoms. One of them, check engine light. Other than that, you're going to find that you have an idle that seems like it raises a little bit and then it drops down. It raises a little bit again, drops down. Aside from that, you might find that you have stalling conditions while you're driving down the road, or when you go to start up the car, it just cranks over, but it doesn't want to start. Quick fixes for this one would be to go ahead and take that IAC valve off of the back of the air intake. If it looks like it's blocked up with carbon, use a little carbon cleaner in that area. If you try to clean it and it still doesn't function properly, go ahead and order yourself a new one. The last problem we're going to talk about comes down to oil consumption. If you don't happen to see that you have any external oil leaks, but you're still getting low on oil, generally it means that you're having an issue with one of your piston rings or multiple piston rings. If you were to have oil making its way past the piston rings up into the combustion chamber, it's going to get burnt up inside there and then get shot out the tailpipe, meaning you're going to have smoke coming out there and, of course, pollution going to the environment. This is called blow-by. If you were to find that your oil level was commonly low and you had blue smoke coming out the tailpipe, this could be your issue. Let's quickly talk about fixes for this. Overall, it's not necessarily something that you're going to want to fix in the driveway. This would come down to pretty much a complete engine overhaul. You're going to have to tear apart almost the whole engine to even get to the piston rings. Now, a quick way to actually avoid this would be to keep up on your oil changes. The new oil that you'll be using when you do your oil change will have special additives in it to help clean, lubricate, and protect your engine oil seals and piston rings, keeping them in good condition. Okay friends, I hope you liked the video. I hope you found it interesting. If you liked the video or even love the video, go ahead and smash on the like button for me. It means the world. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe, ring the bell. That way there you, all of your friends, can be kept up with all of our latest content. Thanks. The timing of when these valves either open or close is critical for engine operation. Critical for optimal engine operation. Yeah. Optical? Optional. Wow. Is critical for optimal, what? Is critical for the